Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we're back. We got John Palacio with us to get this conversation going.
All right, good morning. This is like home, and so therefore looking forward to it. But like you mentioned, we've got our conversation all lined up and set, all courtesy Fulltech Systems, our coronavirus update here. In with us, we'll have Nick Alvarado, who is a small business owner. We've got Tarique Domingo, who is says he's unemployed. Cain is also with us, and Palacio. And this discussion is how COVID-19 affected their lives. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
All right, so you know, I'm looking forward to this conversation simply because it is real. It is exactly what had occurred and how people are living at this particular point. And I want to start at the start of the pandemic, when it was mentioned that we've got our first case, our second cases, and it seemed like a really scary situation. And I'll start with Nick. What was that thought like for you, and did you imagine you'd be in this position?
At the start of the good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, John. At the start of the pandemic last year, coming around March the 12th, first of all, I'm Nicolai Alvarado. I also represent the Blast Association, which is comprised of a whole heap of guides and tourism vendors and local stakeholders. So at the start of the pandemic last year, March, a lot of us in tourism, as we represent the tourism sectors, we were carrying out our tours regularly. And around March 12 was when everything came to a standstill for us, you could say.
Yeah.
There was a lot of hopes that it will restart, you know, so people still had hopes in their mind that it will restart in like a month or two, they will bring the virus under control. But as time progressed, it didn't get any better. Bills were coming in for a lot of the guides, for a lot of my guides or our guides that work for us. A lot of the other companies, they were like, hey, Nick, what are we going to do? We got to try to see what we could do to try to get some money to pay the bills, to put food on the table. So a lot of the guides, some of them diverse from tourism and went into agriculture. They went back into fishing. They went back into their various trade that they were doing before tourism, right? So it has been very challenging though, because, you know, when at the peak of the coronavirus, thousands of Belizeans lost their job, and the first hit was the tourism sector.
Yeah.
Thousands, hundreds and thousands of tourism tour guides and vendors and tour operators and hoteliers and people that works in the hotel industry out of a job. And then you have the agricultural people now. They already been doing the agricultural work for years, and with all of us coming into it and start doing the going back into agricultural again, it starts to create a strain not only on the economy but also on those in the agricultural industry now, right? So it has been very challenging for us in the tourism sector. A lot of us, like I said, diverse and went into other industries. Yeah. For myself and some of the other guides, what we did, a lot of guides, we are ambassadors and stewards of the country. So we don't believe in just waiting around for things to happen.
Yeah.
We like to make things happen. So what we did, we came together. Like I said, some folks went into their taxi service, some created new businesses, and that's what we did. We created new business, and we came together as some guides, and we started a different business until the tourism industry is about to come back. And last October, when the airport started, some folks went back into the tourism industry, but majority of the tour guides and other stakeholders are still unemployed, right? So they're still trying to find a way to make that dollar at the end of the day. Some of them, like I said, when construction workers went to chop Cain. Imagine going from working in the tourism industry, making a salary just by talking and being a steward of your country, and going to chop Cain for $25 a day just to feed your family. No. In the north, you're going to pick orange, right?
Nick, can I just...
So it was...
Yeah. I wanted to ask a question, because you said you moved forward to where you started your own business. But those first few months where it was just a complete crash, there was no tourism business coming in, even before we detected our first case in the country, people stopped coming. What was it like for you personally when you'd be at home with your family or used to a busy schedule? What were the thoughts that you were having?
At home, I have a young son at home, 3 years old, right? And for me, I found it as at the beginning I was like, okay, I'm home more with my son. I could spend time with the family now. So I wasn't really worrying at first, right? I wasn't really worrying about anything at first until the months start going by and you notice, you know what, the savings, the different business that you're into, even those are being affected. So we got to see what we got to do now to try to gain money to continue sustaining the family.
Yeah.
Right. So at the beginning, it was, I think for most tourism workers at the beginning, most people didn't believe that it would have lasted this long then. And I think it was till after October, then it really hit the tour guides and those in the tourism industry, like, you know what, this is going to be here for the long haul. Yeah. Even right now, if you ask someone in the tourism industry like us, we tell you, well, we know it's going to be here until about 2023, 2024 before you see something really getting back to normal here in Belize when it comes to the tourism industry. It might restart, but to get back to that era where we were in 2019, early 2020, it will be about probably next 2 years, 2.5 years.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
Tarique, let's get Tarique Domingo in. Tarique, what was your thoughts? How did you feel?
Yes, good morning once again. Yes, I can relate a lot to what Nick has said earlier in terms of the first few months after it hit. We were like, okay, let's appreciate this time because we have more time at home. But going from working tours like 4-5 days a week, and going back to just sitting down, it started to take a toll mentally. And I mean, I as well, I have a young child at home, and I was appreciative of the time with them and that time with family. But after a while, I mean, it started to get to the point that I don't want to be pulling my hairs out of my head, but I mean, you have to start to think about what can you do, because me and Nick, tourism is our passion. It's something that we...
You were a guide too?
Yes, I'm a tour guide.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's been for about 10 years I've been tour guiding. So, I mean, that transition. And another thing about tourism, it opens doors for a lot of opportunities. So there was that possibility as well that I was on the brink of, in terms of, a chance to work on a cruise ship, a chance to go abroad and stuff. So it really took a toll mentally, and it kind of, put me in a stance to say, okay, plan B, plan C, which you didn't really expect. You had to have plan B or C.
Yeah. Now let's get everybody's story before we move forward. Jared, tell us what happened for you.
Okay, so before COVID, I was working at More FM, and I had just started working there. I know I had a couple run-ins with John, and he would always tell me I'm always doing a good job and to keep it up. And when COVID hit, that's when all the budget cutting started, and they had to cut most of the DJs and most of the radio announcers from More FM out of the picture. And that time of home, I wasn't doing much. Yes, I had side jobs or different side hustles. I do voiceovers. Once I was working with Colorblind in their control room, helping them with one of their shows. But it was nothing long term. And I think it really started affecting me later down the road, September, October. Savings were going down, finances were going down, and it was a lot to deal with mentally. Yeah. So that's how it affected me in that way. And now I'm still unemployed, but I'm slowly and gradually seeing myself being in a better place in the future. So that's where I'm at right now.
Let's hear from Ava. What's your story, Ava? She may be on mute. Ava, are you still there? Oh no, it seems we lost her. Okay. So we're going to get her back on. This is, there she is, right in time. Ava, go ahead and share with us your experience. Oh no, we're definitely having some connection issues there. But as we said, this is an opportunity for us to hear directly from Belizeans. We hear the quote of thousands of Belizeans lost their jobs, thousands of Belizeans still don't have jobs. And this is an opportunity for us to put a face and story behind these thousands of Belizeans. And I want to ask, you know, what is the toll? Jared, for you, for example, you know, you thought you were starting your career, and then the pandemic comes, and you are left trying to figure out just where you're going to find an income. What's the mental toll that it takes on you?
Well, for me, I knew that I had different talents, and it's something that I could potentially capitalize on. The market for it wasn't there, however, because, like I said, on the side, things like voiceovers, helping out with videography, those are, you know, my skill sets, and the market for that wasn't there. You find that people weren't putting out ads because, you know, we're in a pandemic and you can't, well, compensate for advertisements like that, like we used to, at least. And it made me start thinking and going in different directions. I did end up starting working at a call center for a while. That didn't work out, but fortunately I did have enough to go ahead and start venturing into holistic massaging and massage therapy, and that's where I'm at right now. So I'm currently studying at the Holistic School of Massages. I'm training to become a certified massage therapist, and I'll actually be launching my own business and services quite soon.
What I heard from you is that there was a point whereby you started to scramble to try and make ends meet and make things get done, because of course we all need those finances. Which brings me to Tarique. T, one of the things I heard from Jared is that he did a scramble to try and make things happen. Now he is at the point whereby he's trying to elevate his skill set. What about you? Was there a time you tried to scramble, and what all did you venture into to now be at the spot that you are?
Well, a little while, it was like 6 months into the pandemic beginning, I ventured into doing some online working. It was a mixture of some sort of like a short job, and I ventured into a call center. I even did some construction as well. And it's like Nick said earlier, imagine going just to your mouth and hand gesturing to actually a hands-on job. Mm-hmm. And to the point where I actually did a somewhat of a celebration when I did a tour a couple of months ago. It was the first one I did after a year, and that was a great one for me. I think that was the tour I took the most pictures on.
I can imagine it must feel like you're getting back a bit to where you were before. Now, did any of you access
If you know me, that's my comfort zone. Sorry.
Yeah. Did any of you access the unemployment assistance that was offered?
The one from last year?
From last year, yeah.
Yes. I think that's what was helping our guides and those they were giving 150, I think, every 2 weeks, right? And then they were actually getting pantries. Some of them were getting pantries, because I know there's a lot of tour guides, a lot of our members on Blast are single mothers, right? And they were getting assistance from this 150 every 2 weeks, or pantries, because they don't have anything else to do but tour guiding. Then they have to mind their kids, 2-3 kids at home. They're going to school, so that was helping them while they were still doing like a little nail the salons or hairdressing or find a little hustle on the side to try to make ends meet. So a little coming in with the pantry assistance or with the COVID relief was helping. And then also what helped a lot of tour guides last year was when they when the BTB decided to do the tour guide waiver, tour guide renewal waiver. I know it's coming up again right now. That's a big question that all of the members from our association, plus the tour guides from the different associations around the country is asking, because the tourism has started a little bit, but the little bit that it has started to is just enough for guys to provide for their family and to try to make ends meet when it comes to the bills, right? So what we're asking as the guides or as tourism, if that could also be extended into this year for 2021, 2022. And I must say that the DTB and the Ministry of Tourism, they have been very communicative with us at the association now. I know in the pipeline right now they have a grant coming up that will benefit the local stakeholders when it comes to operators or guides, and they have been working with the DFC to provide low interest loans, I think of 6% annually, and the reducing balance, and you have the option where you could go in and you could find to pay after 1 year. So there's a lot of little things that they're trying to put right now in to actually help us to get back on track, right, per se. Right, but it's still a struggle for majority, for probably 95% of the guides. Some of them are still working, making ends meet with little 1 or 2 jobs coming here and there. But it's still rough, because remember, in order to have gotten as an operator, as a guide, in order to get to carry tours, like Tarique to tell you, or any guy to tell you, you had to go through some vigorous training and investment into your company. So I think that took a toll on a lot of the operators, because last October, everyone was like, oh, it's going to start back in October, things are going to get better, the ships are coming back, the planes are coming back. So a lot of operators went in and invested into gold standard procedures, which means you set up your vehicles. And it's not $100 or $200 to set up a vehicle to become a gold standard certificate, right? Like, for example, just one of my vans, or one of I don't even have to use the company that I work for. You could ask any other tour operator; it probably costs about $1,500 just to get your van set up for gold standard, right? So imagine you have your van set up for gold standard, and some of them haven't even carried a tour since it has been set up as gold standard, right? Yeah. So it's still a struggle for us in the tourism industry. And what we will like in the tourism industry is just if the Ministry of Tourism and the DTD could continue working with us as tour guides and tour operators and stakeholders, vendors, because there's also a lot of vendors that lost their employment. A lot of vendors, especially right in Belize City, you used to see a lot of hairdressers and vendors out at the tourist village, and the cruise ships are coming in. And what are all of these people doing now? Yeah. Right. But what I would like to say though is I'm very proud of the tour guides and the operators, because when this happened, we all came together. So let's say, like, for example, Tarique, we have a chat group, so Tarique will be like, hey, it's just an example, right? Hey, guys, right now I cannot make ends meet this month, so if we have 200 operators, 200 guides, or everyone will just put $1, whatever they could do to try to help out each other, right? Because that's what, as tour guides, that's what we do. We're here to help, or we're ambassadors, we're stewards of the country. Yeah. Right. So that's what we're just trying to be there. We're trying to be there for each other every day. Mentally, I think that's why a lot of the mental aspect haven't really affected a lot of the guides. Some of them it has affected, but with the talking every day and the chat and just spilling out your thoughts, your issues or whatever problem you're going through, and you have other people talking back to you every day, and they're experiencing the same thing. So you could it's a brother and sister, get through it together. Yeah. Right.
So it seemed like you guys were trying to find ways, or are trying to find ways, to help each other out. And you did mention that some of those folks eventually had to go for the 150 every 2 weeks from GOB. But again, Tarique, or let me get to Jared. Did you have to use that service as well, Jared?
Yes, I got access to the 150. At first, it took a while. I think it was until they did like a second I think they put out a second file for it, so that you could people that didn't get the first claim, they could have gotten the second claim. I think that's what I did, and that's when I saw it started coming in. And my first thought was like, okay, let me just save this now or help pay whatever bills I could contribute towards and save the rest, and we'll see what happens in the near future. And well, surprisingly, everything played out there. Everything had a reason for it. So I'm grateful for that relief fund.
Wow.
So I understand that we have Ava back on the line now. Ava, are you there?
Good morning, yes I am.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ava.
Okay, let's do some catch up with you. So the gentlemen have already shared their experience, how they lost their jobs or their source of income due to COVID. Tell us what happened to you.
It was basically the same as Mr. Alvarado, and I also worked in the tourism industry. So at the beginning, I also thought that it would only last for a couple of months, but then it continued, and I figured that I had to find other means to survive because I'm also a student too. So I only had a laptop and a printer, so I decided to start doing photocopying and printing and scanning, and that's how I survived at the beginning.
Wow.
So how many months of unemployment before you tried to start up your own business?
Yeah.
I think it was the first month.
Yeah.
It was the first month because I live alone, so I had to, start very early.
Ava, what was it like when you started to see cancellation after cancellation, and then you realized that your source of income is done, at least for now?
It was very difficult. I understand people who are feeling very low, very down, because at the beginning I was, but I had my mother and I had like other family members that were there for me.
And tell us about the photocopying business. I mean, how did people started to utilize that service? What was your thoughts at that time?
Well, it was very surprising at the beginning because it was just something I was trying to figure out and trying to explore in. And because before that, I also started to do babysitting, and I tried a lot of things before I actually got a breakthrough, because at one spell I was also selling popcorn and nachos at Pongyard.
Oh.
So to finally have something that catch on and was bringing constant income, I was happy for that.
So right now at this point, you're still doing your photocopying business?
Yes, I ventured more into I now design T-shirts and masks and key chains, key holders, and I customize cups. So I came a very long way from where I started.
But you see, I'm really liking what you're doing there. But was that something that you had the skill for prior to COVID, or you had to learn it during this pandemic?
Not at all. Like, if someone told me a year ago that I would be, a small business owner, I would have told them that it was a lie because this was far from, my mind. But I'm still going to UB doing nursing.
Wow.
All right. So I just started to figure out ways to, things that will actually bring in income for me.
Wow.
So let's bring it back to Tarique for a second. I want to come back to starting your own business in just a bit. But Tarique, tell us about some of the things you've tried to do to sustain yourself over this time.
Well, like I said earlier, at first I was really grateful for the funds that was being issued to us by GOB. That actually helped me for a while. And then I was like, what next? What next? And I've started to do some construction. It's like I said earlier, imagine going from just using your hand to point and give gestures and then actually, doing in the hands-on. So I did that for like 3 months while I was actually doing a work at home, like online. I'm not a person who likes to be at home. I like to be outdoors, and store gardening is, what I really love. So the construction kind of helped me to go outside. So I wasn't worrying about the fact that, it was less than what I was used to, a lot less, but it was still sufficing me, and it was taking me on a day-to-day basis. The family was, taken care of.
Yeah. Wow. I'm liking the stories because it actually gives a ray of hope. It shows us that there is light at the end of the tunnel. But I'll tell you what, guys, this is a two-part conversation, and when we come back, we'll be venturing off into other parts of this conversation of how we're dealing with COVID and letting these folks tell you exactly some new ways to follow. So we'll take the break, and we'll be right back.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Andrea Polanco, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes, go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
Back. This is the second part of the two-part conversation with some folks who actually lost their jobs during the COVID. Now, very interesting stories, and what I'm getting from all of you is that there is definitely a ray of hope with respect to how you carry yourself and the jobs that you're actually now taking up. But I wanted to ask, and I'll start again now with Nick. Nick, was anybody close to you affected with or actually got sick from COVID?
Got sick, actually got sick. Probably some of the guides that I know, they got sick. And like I know this one guy from Orange Walk, he told us he got sick for 21 days. He was in quarantine, couldn't come out, and it was a very horrible feeling because he used to be the person going out to chop cane for his family to make an income now, and he had to depend now. He has his wife and his kids, and now he had to depend on his parents to try to come in and assist him. So he's probably the only case that I know about when it comes to close persons who got the COVID. That was really that had it really bad. Others had it, but lasted for like a week or so. As I know this one guy too from San Pedro, he had it, and he said it was a very horrible feeling as well, because he was at home, couldn't move, had to stay in a room all day, and all the food had to be brought to him, and he was worrying, how are they getting food to come to him? How is the family going to get fed? How is the bills going to get paid if he cannot go out and make a living, right? So, and actually a lot of people, I believe, were very skeptical when it comes to going to take the test, because if they're the only provider for their family and they're very scared to go and take this test. Let's say they go and take the test and they come out to be positive, right? Then they will have to go into quarantine for a couple weeks or a couple days. And so a lot of people, I think, didn't really, even if they had it, they didn't want to take the test. So I believe that a lot of the virus was spreading due to that fact as well, because they didn't really have an income to help sustain their family, so they were still going to work even though they had the virus. Right?
Wow.
While some were responsible and taking the test, others weren't really doing that.
Yeah.
Because of the needs to provide for their family.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Very
Yeah, you never think of that particular perspective.
Yeah.
But Nick, you mentioned earlier that you collaborate a lot with other associations as well. And you very clearly said that while you and some of your guys have decided to start new businesses and venture in new areas, there are some who are still unemployed.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about those stories. And is it because they can't find any work or they're just waiting on tourism?
Some of them can't find any work, and a lot of them are just waiting on tourism. As I could give you a lot of example, like I come from a tourism family. My sister was the one that introduced me to tourism. She has been a tour guide for over 18 years. I've been a tour guide for going on 15 to 16 years now, and a tour operator for over 14 years. Like herself, I'll give you an example of her and my dad. My dad is a retired teacher after 36 years, and just last year, January, he became a tour guide and started working within the industry with us, right? So he only got to experience the tourism industry for about 3 months, and then he had to venture. But we grew up farming, right? That's how we went. Him and my mom, they used to do farming and sent us to school. So, for example, like my sister, she had to go back into farming. She started buying the boiled broiler chickens and raising chickens, the local chickens. Then you have another example, Mr. Desmond. If you go to the market at 6 a.m., you'll find Mr. Desmond. He's actually a very successful tour operator with buses and big company, not him and Miss Margaret. But you will find him, Miss Margaret is selling food from her house, and now Desmond, he actually goes to every other day up all the way down to Stan Creek in his tour van, right? You'll see a 15-passenger van, all the seat out, and he's bringing down citrus, oranges, and limes, and he's selling at the market, right? Then you have other examples like in Libertad, there's another guy. He started making ideals, right? Ideals to sell like Milky Way ideals or sugar cane ideals to try to make ends meet, right? Especially after the fund, because I think the last funding was received around the ending of October. That was when a lot of people, you know what, we gotta do something. And even now, right, you still have a lot of guides. They couldn't find jobs before, and now some of them are getting little job here and there. But you still have some that will be waiting around for tourism, and we're trying to tell them, look, you can't wait around for tourism. You gotta try to do something, right? You can't depend on the government, or she can't be depending on others to try to sustain us. We gotta be self-sustenance, right? So a lot of them, they're doing backyard, like this guy from Belize, Chris Hatcher, he's doing backyard farming, and I was talking to him, and he's like, he never used to do it before, and he's doing his habaneros, and he's doing other little backyard farm that he's selling around, right? Then you have another guy, Wallace, right? These are all guys. Wallace, this guy Wallace, if you go on George Street, you'll find him a car wash just recently opened. Car wash, I believe it is. He was actually a guy, and he ventured into that. He said he started with just a bucket and a brush, and now he has a little pressure washer, you know. And just recently, he told me he wanted to get an extractor to start doing carpets and different things in the vehicle. So I'm like, so what are you going to do after COVID? He said, well, he's going to keep this job and still do tour guides. So a lot of them, same thing, my sister, she's going to still do her poultry or her farming and still do tour guides. So I believe after tourism reopened, or after COVID is kind of down a little bit, then you will have a lot of the tour guides still having now venture into two different jobs.
Have
right?
something to as a fallback.
Yes, as a fallback, or even as a, because if it's for example, like the young lady said, she started just with photocopying, and now she's doing marketing. And pretty much, if she continues on that in 2 years from now, she'll be a nice growing company in Belize, providing a lot more service, especially when it comes to the tourism industry, because we love to support those in the tourism industry. So if you know that you're trying to do something, then we will try to go and support you. Yeah. But it's very hard. Like she said, it's very hard. And if you ask any others, actually, it's very hard to try, like right now, to get a business off the ground. It's very hard because a lot of people are unemployed, right? So you can't just venture into business that you could have ventured in 2019. You gotta be critical thinkers now. We gotta think outside the box and see what is needed in the area. For example, myself and 6 other tour guides last year, October, we were like, this is something new to us now. Remember, right? This is something new to us. We're like, okay, well, I have a little experience in it, but the others, it was not like, guys, you got to do something. You're just going to be sitting at home. So we decided to form a sanitization services, because with the gold standard and getting all the equipment, and we had to sanitize our vehicles and our offices. So we already knew the ins and outs on it. So that was when we formed a company, registered. We got approved by the Ministry of Health. And actually, we are the only ones that is offering the type of sanitizing when it comes to disinfecting and sanitization, right?
Yeah.
The equipment that we're using, we're the only one that has that type of equipment in Belize, because we were like, we don't want to be doing the conventional way. We want to go above and beyond, so that because that's what we are in tourism, right? In tourism, we always want to see things progress and get better. We don't want to stay at one level. Yeah. So that's why when they came out with the gold standard, like the video is running right now with the gold standard, you can see that these are all local guides and operators. They decided, you know what, instead of waiting around for the government to give assistance, they took money out of their pockets, equipped their vehicles, right? They put the stickers, they put like this van that is showing, if you open, this is for Marcos Stores from Belmopan, right? He went above and beyond to get his vehicle equipped. You open the vehicle door, there's a hand sanitizer station automatically that dispenses hand sanitizers in your hand, right? He has air purifiers in his vehicles, right? So you can see the type of investment that the operators and guys they put in, and that is why now when the tourism is coming back now, we're trying to tell we're trying to have like the BTB or the Ministry of Tourism or whoever is responsible to have enforcement. Because if you have all of the operators, you tell them you got to get the gold standard and got to get this and that, and how to carry tours, and now things are reopening and all of these guys did their investment, and now you have just a regular guy just coming in and start carrying the tours without going through the proper channel. So it's good to have the rules, but we have to have enforcement with those rules.
Absolutely. Nick, can I get a question in here? Because I wanted to ask you very quickly. The airport reopened the end of last year, and we've started to see tourists coming back. From the group that you work with, tell us about how many people are actually seeing some businesses restart again.
For picking up at the hotel, I know King David Tours. I've met him a couple of times at the airports. Let's say we have 100 operators on our chat group, or in our group, or over 100. Yeah. If 15 of them are at the airport, that's a lot.
Wow.
If you go there on a daily basis, you probably only find, I guarantee you probably only find 2 of them that I know of that probably are out there every other day doing transfer, right? And it's not like they're picking up 5 or 10, probably 1 person or 2 persons, right? That's like I said, I've seen King David out there. He also equipped his vehicle, spent some money, and he also picks up people out there, but not often, right? So the investment is there, the equipment is there, the operators, the guides are trained already, but it's still not to that point where everyone has a piece of the pie, you know? It's not everyone could get the work properly, right?
Let's bring it over to Ava for a second. Ava, since the airport has reopened and tourists are coming back, do you see yourself going back into the industry?
Honestly, not anytime soon.
Yeah. Why not?
Because like Mr. Alvarado said, that it's not that much that everyone can, survive on it. Yeah. So I'll continue to do what I am doing, and maybe in November, like they said that the cruise tourism will start back. Maybe in November I might go back.
Yeah.
But you seem uncertain at this particular point. You're saying maybe. Why is that?
Because in the beginning, like tourism, everybody wants to go into tourism, and because like no one predicted that this would have happened, and we won't have any source of income, or that the tourism industry would collapse. So I'm unsure, because it's not something that anyone is starting off right now.
Yeah. So you're fearful that you get back into it, and then you end up back in the same situation again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now I want to ask Jared. Let's bring you back. So you're the only one right now on the panel. I don't believe if we still have Tarique. I think we lost him. Tarique, are you still there? No, we may have lost him. Let me bring Jared back into the conversation. So you are now training to be a massage therapist. What's interesting about all of your stories is that you fell on hard times in a situation I think that everyone is fearful of, but you've all found a way to kind of give you hope to move forward. Tell us a bit about what you think prompts you or pushes you in that particular area. Some people don't necessarily take the steps to find an alternative. What makes it, what put you in the position that you had to find another way out?
Well, for me, I consider myself relatively spontaneous. I'm always doing something. Before I know you've met with me before with different groups like the youth advocacy movement and those various groups. So I'm always doing something. I'm always trying to be active. And really, before COVID, I had high hopes. I was just finishing up with school. I started venturing into what could have been a potential career, and there were a lot of different traveling opportunities that were being opened up to me as well. So I really had high hopes for all of those, and COVID was like, okay, Jared, you need to just sit down and just rethink all of this. So, I had no choice but to comply. And what got me into massage therapy, it's really just, I call it manifestation. I know, well, with my voice, everyone tells me, bro, your voice is so deep. You need to go work on the radio. I ended up working on More FM. Bro, you should definitely do some voiceovers. I ended up doing voiceovers. And with my close friends, of course, I'm really touchy and physical. And I'd usually just give them like arm rubs or different like shoulder rubs, like just light shoulder rubs. And they really enjoyed it. And one of my friends, Danielle, she said, you should really consider, go taking some classes and becoming a certified massage therapist. And I was like, I'll look into it. And then, well, I guess out of coincidence and assuming, I started seeing some content on Instagram with different massage therapists and the craft they put into their work and the art behind it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go ahead and do it. So I started doing it, and people didn't take it serious at first. Like, okay, you're doing it. Well, you say you'll do it, and a couple weeks later, boom, I pop out with a massage bed or a massage table of my own. And everyone is like, wow, you're actually doing this. I thought you were joking.
Yeah.
So it's really just that spontaneous, coming back to it, it's really just that spontaneous drive and that manifestation, I think, for me, that just pushes me to go ahead and do it. Just get up and do it.
Wow. Yeah. All right, and Nick, tell us about the business when you made the move and said, okay, I won't rely just on tourism. I won't sit around and wait. I'm going to get a business started.
Well, Miss Marlene, whenever you start a business at first, to get it off the ground, that's the most difficult part, right?
Yeah.
So for the first, it was a struggle. Because it was during the time when there was
lockdown
restrictions, lockdown. You couldn't travel outside, so you couldn't actually go and meet your clients or meet prospective clients to share your proposals, to share the product that you offer. Right. So it was a struggle at first. And after we did our first 2 or 3 gigs, and the customers, they love it, right? They start sharing our contacts, they start sharing, and we start building, right? And we're slowly still building up, right? So it's getting there, but at first it was a struggle, just like in any other business. Just like in tourism, when we first started doing tourism for the first year, we saw 3 guests. 3 guests, that was back in 2007, 3 guests in a whole year, right? But just like tourism, most tour operators will venture into it at first and say, well, we'll still carry it just to make the ends meet and to get that first review, right? Just to cover the bills, or sometimes even now, if a tour will come, sometimes an operator will carry a tour, right? And let's say it was scheduled for 6 people to go to the Mayan temples and only 2 show up. They can't just cancel that 2. They will have to carry that 2 and take a loss, and hopefully they get a 5-star review to help boost their business. So it's the same thing that what we were doing at the beginning, right? We were doing our services, and the people, the clients, they really loved it, and they start sharing our contact information with other companies, and from there we start meeting them when the restrictions were lessened, and it has been growing slowly, still climbing the ladder, but it's growing slowly.
Wow.
All right.
Nick, and I wanted to ask from a tourism standpoint, one of the things they promoted, especially at the start of the, while things were subsiding to a certain extent with COVID, they started to boost local tourism. Did that help?
Well, local tourism, what we did, it helped a little. Like I said, some of the tour operators, they have some creative ideas. Like on our website, we started to offer a Belizean discount. We did a like and share the page, and you get $100 off a package to go snorkeling package of 6 people. I know the same guy on his Facebook page, King David Tours. He did a barbecue sale. Like, you buy a couple tickets for the barbecues, and if you win, they put your name inside a barrel, and if you win, 4 people get to go on a tour.
Wow.
So a lot of operators were doing little advertiser marketing like this. So they had to be creative. Some of them got they got the local tourism, but at that time when it was a lot of restrictions, like I said, so you couldn't really travel throughout the country as much. So it was still hard on the operators and the guides, right? And I think it was more hard on the guides per se, though, because throughout the tourism industry, the guides are the one that takes a lot of lick. Like, the guides are the front page to the operators. Like, an operator cannot, like my business or any other business, and it doesn't matter if it's small or big, cannot function without their tour guides. And I think a lot of companies, after this, the guides have wised up and realized, you know what, we have been taken advantage of over the years. So a lot of them have wised up now, and a lot of the companies, I'm pleading actually to the companies, you know, to treat the guides properly, pay their social at least for the guides, you know, pay a social for the guides, get a insurance for guides, them on tour, you know, because if a guide gets sick, even before COVID, if a guide was to get sick and he's working for a XYB company, right, and he goes home, no social is being paid for that guide, so he has to do what he's doing right now, trying to catch and kill, or trying to find a way to survive while he's out sick from work. Right?
So let me just see if you when the local tourism picked up, they weren't really accessing tour guides as much as they were accessing hotels. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. We have to round off the conversation at this point, so I wanted to just take the opportunity, one, to say thank you for sharing your stories. We've been talking a lot about unemployment, and we wanted to hear from people who lost their jobs. And I also want to say thank you for showing all of us that, once you have that drive, you can still, I know you're not making what you used to make. I know that you're not comfortable or secure the way you were a year ago, but it is very, inspiring to hear how you keep pushing to move ahead and get out of this very dark period. So let's let our viewers know how they can support. Nick, the name of your business, if people want to support?
Well, I like to just advertise the Blast organization. If you go on the Facebook page, you'll find Blast, and you have different companies that are part of Blast. So I just like to say to support the local tour operators, right? The small local tour operators, right? These are the ones that really know about Belize. And point number 2, I would like to plea on the behalf of the tour guides of Belize, the different associations. If the Ministry of Tourism and BTB could waiver the tour guide licensing fee again this year, because like I said, last year it was done and they have a little this year, but about 50% of the people don't have work still yet. So the little that they're making have to suffice for their family. So it will be a big help if they could also do that this year again.
All right, thank you for that perspective. Jared, tell us about your massage business.
So right now I'm still going to Holistic School of Massages. I'm still doing the course there. I do, like I mentioned, I do have the massage business drafted up in the pipeline. So it's just to finish up the packages and finish up with the business plan, and we'll get that on the road. And hopefully you'll be seeing me again sometime soon.
All right. We do hope
so. We do hope so.
And Ava, how do people follow and support your business?
You can find me on Facebook on Lasting Memories Design. That's my Facebook name. For Mother's Day, we also have some gift packages. They're very limited, so you can find me on Facebook and make your order.
All right.
Wow. All right.
Thank you.
Well, guys, thank you so very much for joining us this morning. We hear your stories, and we're sure that there are a lot of people who feel just like you, but at least you're giving a ray of hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you too, and have a blessed day.
You too.
All right, so we're about to take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing a specific tree that's being used to make some local produce. We'll tell you exactly what that is when we come back. Stay with us.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.